Hey everyone, and welcome to our first episode of the Cloud Provider FinOps Updates by FinOps Quickly. This new format is going to be the way that we are going to try and help you understand all the news from the providers related to FinOps and anything that can actually affect your budget in the cloud. We have a lot of news. We have GCP native tool releases. We have a lot of AWS updates for their services, and we also have updates on pricing from Microsoft. So without further ado, let's start. The first thing that we have is the Google Cloud Cost Management tool. As mentioned, they have released in public preview the Cloud Hub and the Cost Explorer. So both of these tools serve different purposes. The Cloud Hub, we are going to show them in a minute, is basically a central place for all your FinOps-related stuff in GCP, which is, I think, a very powerful tool to start using right now that is in public preview. And the Cost Explorer is more of a showback tool, visualization tool, where you can see costs aggregated by infrastructure KPIs such as CPU, memory, specific services that are costing you more money, and anything that has with showback and visualization. So here's some information about the Cost Explorer. As you can see, a very standard visualization tool with the total cost, the changes, the total cost over time. So more of an enhanced billing dashboard with workloads that are costing more, the application resources that are costing more. And you can see more unit economics over here. I got the starting point if you didn't have any workload using. So I think this is a good starting point for anyone that's using GCP, especially if they didn't have a tool for your showback and your resource. And moving on to the Cloud Hub. This is, as you can see, a central place. You can see the events, most of anomaly detection, issues, checklist, everything. Then you can see the deployments, the health, the optimization, quotas and services, maintenance and support. I will let you link in the description below about Cloud Next demo that Google did, so that you can see all the features of this tool. But these are two good tools to have available right now. Of course, this is very useful if you didn't have any central third-party tool or any showback or visualization tool. I think this is great for you. And this is also great for the native FinOps ecosystem because GCP was lagging behind AWS and Azure for native tools. And with these two, I think they made great progress. Okay, so now let's move on with AWS updates. The first item is that sharing EC2 capacity reservation is possible outside of your AWS organization. And this is very useful if you are collaborating with different organizations or your organization has split it. It's very useful because it will allow you to share that capacity reservation and be able to use them for other organizations if you haven't, to avoid wasting this commitment money that you have compromised. So very useful updates, especially if you are using EC2 capacity reservations, of course, and you are not using savings plans or other stuff. This is great news. Continuing on with AWS, if you are doing creative workloads, this is a very important news because AWS Deadline Cloud has now better integration with Spot instances, which for rendering tasks and for heavy duty processes such as these creative workflows, it's very useful, and I think you want to take a look. I'll leave you the link in the description below. Let's move on to the next one. And this is very important and very in line with the past week's movement about the fractional GPU instances. So now AWS has released the P5 single GPU instances for your AI workloads. So if you have small POCs, AI workloads in AWS, or anything that uses GPU, everyone, independently of their size, can use AI because it's an important cost generator. They are happy with anyone using it. So if you have small workloads and you were wasting money with multi-GPU instances, this is a great move. Let's continue with the new AWS Config resource types. They have added a lot of new resource types that you can check in AWS Config, such as the AWS AppSync, the Elemental Media Connect, Verify Permissions, and many more. You can check all in the link of the full item. For anyone that doesn't know AWS Config, it's a very useful resources for governance and control the items in AWS. So having new resources into the AWS Config will provide you with better governance for your cloud in general. So now let's move on to one of the most important news of the week is the integration between Graviton, Fargate, and AWS Batch. So basically, the update is that now you can run Graviton-based spot instances with Fargate for AWS Batch. Why is this important? Because now you have Fargate, which is much easier to manage than the EC2, combined with Graviton and Spot Compute, which makes the compute cost way cheaper. And you can combine it with one of the types of workloads that benefits the most for Spot instances, which are batch workloads. Batch workloads and Spot instances combine perfectly in terms of cost reductions. And now you can run it easily with Fargate. So the combination of Spot and Graviton will reduce your cost, and Batch and Spot instances combine perfectly batch workload. So I think this is the most important news from AWS this week. Now let's finish with Microsoft. They have two important things. One is an announcement and one is an important change of their pricing. So let's begin with the happy news and then let's go with the bad news. So they've won the Container Management Quadrant in Gartner. So they are leading in that topic. AWS is winning 15 times in a row some of the quadrants, and GCP gained the other day. And this is something I think relevant for anyone that is interested in container management. And now let's go with troublesome news, the relevant news. So there is an important pricing update. They now have a change mostly related to currency. They made more predictable pricing. They say that they simplify their budgeting and they make the forecast more consistent. You will have all the information in the description below. But I think there is probably a risk based on what I've seen in the community about potential price hikes and the way that this is handling. And we know that when there are pricing updates, normally means there are some type of increase in the cost, otherwise they will say that your cost is going to decrease. So be careful with the updates. As mentioned, all the information will be down below. And especially if you have like a different currency or a currency change that is affecting your business, definitely check all the information because it's going to be important for you. So on the Microsoft side, I think this is the most important update. You need to check the full item in the description below because it's really important. It's very commented, I think, by the community. I've seen Rich Gibbons commenting it about it because he's very into licensing. So I think this is the most important update by far from Microsoft this week. You need to check the full information in the description below because it's going to be very important for your budget right now. It's very debated in the Microsoft licensing community. I've seen some posts in LinkedIn about it, so definitely go take a look to the full item. So that's all for the week. I hope you enjoyed the video and you have valuable information. If you want more formal data, please like and subscribe so we know that you like this format, and see you next week. Bye bye.